People in the valley used to laugh at him, not because he was cruel, not because he was strange, but because, to them, he looked useless. While others rushed through life like they were being chased, he moved slowly. While others argued, he listened. While others fought the world, he seemed to let the world pass through him. His name was Shen, and the villagers called him the man who did nothing.
Wei found Shen at the river at dusk. Mist sat low on the water. Reeds breathed in the wind. The stones along the bank showed their backs. Wei didn't greet him. He stood like a man waiting for a verdict. "I'm small," Wei said. "I want to be someone." Shen didn't look up. He watched a leaf touch a rock, hesitate, then slide around it. Wei's voice tightened. "Han walks and people move. The merchant speaks and men bow. The prefect's son smiles and doors open." Wei swallowed. "I carry a book. I carry water. I carry nothing." Shen reached down into the shallows. His hand disappeared beneath the surface. When it rose, it held a river rock the size of a melon. He stepped close. He placed the rock into Wei's arms. No instruction, no comfort, just weight. Wei's knees flexed. His shoulders jumped as if the rock had bitten him. Shen turned and began walking along the bank. Wei stumbled after him, hugging the rock like a shame he could not put down. Shen spoke without turning. "Go ask Han one question." Wei's breath came loud. "What question?" Shen said. "Do you sleep well?" They found Han near the square. Torches were being tested, ropes coiled, a notice board crowded with papers and wax seals. Han's men moved in and out like ants. Han turned and saw Wei, then his eyes landed on the rock. "What is this?" Han said. Wei shifted his grip, arms shaking. "Uncle Shen told me to ask you—" Wei hesitated, embarrassed by the softness of it. "Do you sleep well?" Han stared at him as if he'd asked a child's riddle. Then Han laughed once, not joy, exhaustion, wearing a grin. He rubbed his face with both hands. "Sleep?" Han said. He glanced at the notice board, at the torches, at the rope. "Everyone sleeps," Han said, "just not me." A runner arrived and whispered into Han's ear. Han's jaw tightened. Another whisper, another problem. Han waved them away with a sharp motion, as if swatting flies that never stop returning. He looked back at Wei. "You want my life?" Han said quietly. His eyes were flat now. "Try being blamed for the river. Try being blamed for the fire. Try being blamed for a child's fever and an old man's hunger." Han's hand moved to the door latch behind him, a habit, checking, locking, checking again. "I command the village," Han said, "but I cannot command my own knights." Wei's arms trembled. The rock seemed heavier with every word. Han's gaze slipped past him, toward the riverbank, toward Shen. For a heartbeat, Han's face softened into something ugly. Envy. "I would trade your book hands," Han murmured, "for one morning where no one needs me." Then Han's face snapped back into its usual shape. He lifted his chin. "Go," he said. "I have work."
Wei returned to the river like a man returning from a funeral. His arms were burning. His fingers had gone numb around the rock. Shen was sitting where he'd been, watching water move. Wei lowered the rock slightly, then pulled it back up again, afraid of what it would mean to set it down. Shen asked, "So?" Wei's throat worked. "He doesn't sleep," Wei said, "even when he closes his eyes." Shen nodded once. "So you want Han's seat," Shen said, "or Han's knights." Wei didn't answer. He couldn't. The rock answered for him. Shen stood. He started walking again. Wei followed, stumbling. Shen said, "Go to the town market." Wei blinked through sweat. "To the merchant?" Shen nodded. "Ask him one thing." Wei's voice came thin. "What thing?" Shen said, "What are you afraid of?" The richest merchant sat behind a counter like a wall, keys at his belt, a ledger under his palm, a guard nearby pretending not to watch. Wei stepped forward with the rock in his arms. His shoulders shook. The merchant's eyes flicked to the rock, then to Wei's hands. "Speak," the merchant said. Wei swallowed. "What are you afraid of?" The merchant's mouth twitched as if it wanted to laugh. Then he didn't. He looked beyond Wei, scanning the crowd. "Losing," he said. He tapped his ledger once hard. "Bad harvests, bandits, lawsuits, a servant with a loose tongue." His fingers tightened around his keys. "As soon as you have something," he said, "you must guard it." He leaned forward, voice lower, "And guarding never ends." A man approached with a complaint. The merchant's face turned sharp like a blade pulled from a sheath. Wei watched him handle the man, firm, polite, cold. When the man left, the merchant exhaled through his nose. Not relief, control. Outside, on the road by the stalls, a peasant passed with empty hands. He was whistling, careless, biting an apple like it belonged to the sky. The merchant's eyes followed him, longer than they should have, like a hungry animal watching a bird. Then the merchant blinked and snapped back to his counter. His fingers closed harder around his keys. "I envy men with empty pockets. They can sleep without counting." Wei's rock slipped an inch. He caught it, too late to look proud. The merchant's eyes returned to him. "Now go," he said. "You're making my shop nervous." Wei found Shen again at the riverbank, breath broken, forearms swollen with pain. Shen asked, "So?" Wei spoke through clenched teeth. "He's afraid," Wei said, "even when he smiles." Shen nodded once. "Gold buys walls," Shen said. "Then you must live inside them." The sky darkened. A drum sounded in the distance. Not war, ceremony. Shen turned his head slightly. "A visiting procession," he said. "The prefect's son is passing." Wei's eyes lifted toward the road. Shen said, "Go ask him one thing." Wei's voice cracked. "What?" Shen said, "When was the last time you were alone?" The procession moved like a river of silk. Guards, lanterns, a canopy carried on poles, footsteps in rhythm.
The prefect's son sat inside the shade, pale and composed, a young face trained into stillness. Wei pushed through the edge of the crowd, rock still in his arms. An attendant tried to block him, but the prefect's son noticed the rock. His eyes lingered, curious. Wei found his voice. "When was the last time you were alone?" The prefect's son blinked. He didn't answer immediately. He glanced at the attendant beside him, at the guard, at the eyes watching. Then he said softly, like someone confessing a weakness, "I am never alone." A breeze lifted the curtain. For half a breath, Wei saw the inside of the carriage clearly. Scrolls stacked like a cage, a schedule board, a tray of food untouched. The prefect's son followed Wei's gaze to the open road beyond the crowd, to the mud on Wei's clothes, to the reed smell on his sleeves, to the river stone held like punishment. And in that look was something strange, not contempt, jealousy. The curtain fell back into place. The carriage moved on. Wei stumbled back to the riverbank. His arms were shaking violently now. His breath whistled. He stood in front of Shen as if waiting to be told what to do with his own life. Shen asked, "Now who do you want to be?" Wei's mouth opened. Nothing came out. He looked down at the rock. For the first time, he didn't hate its weight. He simply saw it. Shen knelt by a flat stone near the water. He placed 3 things on it, one by one. A small wooden seal used for village orders, a silver ingot wrapped in cloth, a silk sash, clean and bright. symbols. Then Shen placed a plain cup of tea beside them. Steam rose, thin, honest. Shen said, "Pick what lets you breathe." Wei stared. His arms screamed. The world narrowed to objects on stone and pain in muscle. He looked at the seal. He saw Han's knights. He looked at the silver. He saw keys and locks and fear. He looked at the silk. He saw a carriage curtain falling like a prison door. Wei's hands loosened. He lowered the rock slowly to the ground. Thud. Silence. For a breath, his body kept obeying the old strain. His arms floated upward by themselves, light and involuntary, as if the weight was still there. Wei stared at his own hands, startled. Then he understood. Even when the burden is gone, the body remembers. Wei let his arms fall back down. He moved the seal aside. He moved the ingot aside. He moved the sash aside. Not angrily, gently, like clearing weeds from a path. Then he lifted the teacup with both hands. His shoulders dropped. His breath deepened. Not joy, relief. Shen watched him drink. The river kept moving. The reeds bent and rose again. Shen said one last line, quiet as a blade going home. "Stop chasing cages with better paint."